dish cover, right?
Yeah.
A cloche, one of those metal ones. And you would count your cloches, and however many cloches, you just had to be ready for that many dishes.
Yeah.
And
so
then
it
when
wasn't even order fire. It was fire.
Yeah.
It was like...
And then to pick it up, they would just put a plate up.
Yeah.
And as soon as the plate went up, you're supposed to get the food out the door.
Okay.
And so the first time that I really figured out like how to count all my cloches, count all my mise en place, and like get a good running count the whole night, as opposed to just nonstop sandbagging everything.
Yeah.
Was that I remember it was like I was doing this cassoulet dish with like 3 scallops, 2 shrimp, and the beans and the cassoulet and everything. And literally it was one of those nights where everyone was like, "All right, Jason's gonna go down tonight."
Yeah.
And I made a point to not go down, and that was like kind of like the turning point. After that night, started getting a little bit more respect from everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
But I didn't know anything. The first time, that is the place I cut an onion for the first time.
Okay.
And I literally cut it, the whole onion, cut the tip off, sliced the onion in half. Like whole, like this.
Like not the way you're supposed to cut it in half.
No, I didn't cut it in half and then do 2 halves.
You cut it in the equator.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then I totally, as I'm doing this, I slice my hand open. Oh. And then at this stage, all the chefs got called over and are like, "Why are you cutting the onion like that?" And I'm like, "This is how I've always cut onions." While trying to make sure they don't see my gash in my hand. And so I had to proceed with chopping the entire onion while my hand was bleeding. And they're like, "That is the worst way we've ever seen to cut an onion."
No, it reminds me of one time I did a demo for the front of the house team at Charter Oak. And now they're all going to know. But I cut myself so bad, but was able to get a glove on before it started spurting all over everything. So I got that first one on, and then I slipped the second glove on, just to make sure that, nothing came out. And the GM after is like, "Hey, I saw you put that second glove on. Did you cut yourself?" And I'm like, "Who else knows?" So it's like I just embarrassed myself in front of the whole front of the house team, man. What the fuck? So you're doing these services, you're getting your ass kicked, you're getting some respect now. And how much time are we into this restaurant now?
So I stayed there a little over a year. Mm-hmm. One day I told the chef there that I wanted to work for a chef named Thomas Keller. And he thought that was the funniest thing he had ever heard. And so that was about halfway into my time there. I told him that, and from that point on, he nicknamed me Keller. And then, there's one night in particular, literally, I had messed something up, and he came back into the kitchen and started chucking plates at me. Mm-hmm. Smashed one on my leg, smashed one behind me, and just was like, it's like, "Come on, Keller, you'll never get it.
Yeah.
You will never figure this out. You think you could ever work at the French Laundry?" And that was a moment when I knew at some point I could never work for the chef. I used to, at that time in my life, my greatest fear in the entire world was the day that I was going to have to introduce that guy to my mom.
Yeah.
And my mom was always my biggest supporter. She would anything Chef Keller related, she would send me, recipes, clippings, anything, When I wasn't there for the holidays, she would make dishes from Chef Keller's recipes, mm-hmm. As a way to for us to still bond,
Yeah.
And I was, honestly, I used to think about it. I was like, how, it was 3 years away, but I was like, how am I going to introduce this? I despise that moment. Mm-hmm. And so we would shut down twice a year there to go do internships because the weather would get so bad, or externships. And so I ended up doing mine at a resort in Georgia called Sea Island, mm-hmm. about 5 hours from where I was previously, so closer to my family. And I went down there, and for a hotel, it was just a very progressive hotel.
Yeah.
And a very talented cast of chefs.
Yeah.
And one day I told these guys I wanted to work at the French Laundry, and I was expecting the same response.
Just laughter and ridicule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the chef was like, "Good, you should."
Yeah.
and you could make it there too if you wanted to.
That's awesome.
And so
that's what you need. You know, that motivates you, and also the fucking guy who said you couldn't do it motivated you. You know?
100%.
And it's crazy how both of those things motivate you, because I've had chefs tell me you can't cook, you can't season, you'll never be a chef. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's because they've been told those things, because I think that's why they say those things. But it just made me so angry that it made me want to be better than them, you know? And I don't know if that's the right way to motivate somebody, but God damn it, it's motivating.
Yeah, you know? I don't know if it's the right way or not. And the way I look at it is, it's like, we don't really allow anything like that in Truffle Shuffle, because ultimately, if that was the right way to motivate people, we would still want to work for those people.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, if there was some sort of gem in that, we would still go back and try to work. We would still, today, both of us would be working for those people.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But it also, you also need that kind of devil's advocate at times. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what the right way to consistently motivate people is. Mm-hmm. I just know Chef Harry sucked.
Yeah. Fuck you, Chef Harry. All right, wherever you are.
And so I go down to Georgia. These guys, really cool what they're doing. They have an apprenticeship program. Yeah. A lot of young guys, really cool. And I went to the chef and I asked if I could join the apprenticeship program down there. And so he told me that I could join, but I needed to have a conversation with Chef Barry and let him know that I was going to work at Sea Island. Yeah. Have a face-to-face conversation. And at this point, I had taken that truck that I had and packed everything in it with the goal of never coming back to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And so I finished out my externship program and then drove all the way back up to New Hampshire. And then it took me 3 months to work up the courage to tell Chef Barry that I wanted to go back to Georgia. And then I eventually did. I know it was the easiest conversation of my life. He was like, okay, great. Trisha has the paperwork. Just fill it out. Yeah. And I was like,
that's it. Relief though, you know?
Oh yeah, I'm like every day thinking about it, like, how am I going to tell this guy today?
Yeah. Well, you got it done. And so you're in this environment with these people that, you tell them, I want to work for Thomas Keller. And they said, fuck yeah, let's do it. So what happens then?
So I go back to Georgia, end up working there for about 4 years total.
Yeah. And
finished my apprenticeship program, graduated the apprenticeship program. Loved working there. A lot of really good experience, and at this point I had a lot to learn, but I had built like the kitchen chops, knew how to use knives, knew how to work long days in the kitchen, knew how to fire things.
How to move and not burn anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Work safely.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah. So you had the chops and then...
So go down there, work for 4 years, finish the apprenticeship program, get to the end of it. They offered me, a very good position, and ultimately I was like, listen, my dream is to work at the French Laundry. I've never, at this stage, I was about 20, right? 20, 21. I had never even seen a Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah.
Never been in one, never seen one. You
hear about it, yeah.
Yeah, you hear about the apricots and the ceps and the different ingredients that you don't get in Georgia.
Yeah.
Our truffles were truffle peelings in a can, and those were awesome.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I remember like opening things like that and being like, yeah, baby, we're about to use these truffles right now, and then the fast forward to the first day where I was, when I went to go stage at Meadowood, and I look over and Chef David Kinch is chopping an enormous mound of black truffles, and then mind blown even further when I found out how much they actually cost.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? This guy was rolling with like 5 G's on his cutting board. Like, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. When I got to New Hampshire, literally, because I had read so many books, right? And every time I read foie gras in a book, I never heard anyone say it. So for like 3 years, I thought it was foie gras. Because I read about it, I had never heard anyone say it.
Yeah.
And so basically I get to Georgia, get done with my apprenticeship program, and I just asked them for 2 weeks. I was like, can I have 2 weeks to go stage at restaurants? And they're very supportive. You know, they're a little upset and supportive, you know.
Yeah, I see.
They wanted me to stay. They wanted me to work there, but they also, you know, understood. And so one of the chefs there, he didn't want me to go, and he had actually worked at the French Laundry. And so I asked him if he would write a letter of recommendation, and so they wrote me a really nice letter of recommendation. He said he didn't know anyone else still at the restaurant.
What was his name?
Chef David Carrier.
When did he work there?
So he worked there with Manilo and Grand Achatz.
Okay.
So in Grand Achatz cookbook, Life on the Line, he talks about taking one guy with him from the French Laundry, and that was the chef that I worked for in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
He talks about there's this one guy that literally used to sweat while turning artichokes.
Yeah.
He would do it so fast, and that was Chef David. And so I worked for Chef David, and he came in about 2 years of me being at Sea Island. And so, incredible chef. I love all those guys a lot. And, but they did not pick up the phone and call over to the French Laundry for me to just roll up, you know. And so I still had to figure that part out on my own. And so they gave me the 2 weeks off. It was the first 2 weeks I had ever taken in my career at this point.
Yeah.
And I just hit up Craigslist, and I lined up 11 stages in 14 days.
11 stages.
11 stages, yeah. And so I had a couple days open for the French Laundry. And no matter what I did, nobody would answer.
Yeah. Were you driving? Were you flying?
So I flew out and then rented a car.
Okay, got you. So all California stages?
All California,
okay,
yeah.
Got you.
All in San Francisco. And so first day was SPQR.
Okay.
Awesome restaurant, really good culture, really cool guys.
Mm-hmm.
Next day was Occarello.
Okay.
And then Alexander Steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Che TJ was in there.
Oh, shit.
Meadowood.
Costa stomping grounds.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Che TJ.
So worked at Che TJ and...
Hold on, this Meadowood stage is very infamous.
Yeah.
We hear about it.
Yeah, I bet.
Employees there. So you were the guy that crashed the car, right? You crashed your car after the stage was over. Am I right?
I think it was... No, it wasn't even... I didn't even get the benefit of being after the stage was over. It was the second to last day.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you staged for 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay, and then on the second day...
Second day, so the Meadowood stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, at Meadowood. And so, luckily, I staged at Meadowood after I landed this thing at the French Laundry.
Yeah.
So, I'm at Meadowood. A really good friend, Ian Cairn, set up this stage.
Yeah.
Really excited. Honestly, I love the video they had online.
Dude, so, that's what inspired me. I was like, what? I'm going there tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know?
And the way they did the menu format, right?
Yeah, no menu. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta go check this out. And so, you know, I get there and again, have no understanding of Michelin star cuisine, right? And the first thing that they asked me to do was juice all these vegetables for like a vegetable jerky for the bar, right?
Uh-huh.
And so it was like peppers, carrots, and something else. And legitimately, I had never juiced anything. You know, like,
yeah.
I never used, like, vegetable juice.
You never used the Champion Juicer?
Never used the Champion Juicer. I had only, at the Balsams, I made...
You know what's funny? We probably used the same juicer.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, with that juicer...
Yeah.
Right? So the way, if anyone doesn't know, the way you're supposed to juice stuff is if you're making carrot juice, you juice the carrots, and then you have the carrot juice, and then that's that project. And then if you're juicing red pepper juice, you clean the juicer and go into the red pepper juice. And so the first project that John gave me, Chef John, was to juice these
Chef
vegetables.
Johnny gave you the job.
Yeah.
That must have been when he was still on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And so I juice all the vegetables